Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Mountain Blade to Bannerlord. We are diving in with the Q&A session that they did with War Sales. This does also have a #1 next to it, so I can only assume more of these are planned. And I definitely hope that more are planned because all in all, this one was pretty disappointing. I absolutely love the fact that they are taking questions from the community on the previous thread, and you can go to this thread right now. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description if you guys want to, and you can ask your own questions. And obviously it's like a really good communication. I definitely want to praise that, but the majority of the questions that got answered in this one don't really mean anything, and it was a lot of like no's, no we're not doing that, no we're not doing this or that, and it just kind of felt when I was reading it a bit disappointing and kind of like a bit like there's just so much negativity in this Q&A. Like, what's the point of even doing it? I want to be like excited and hyped for War Sales, and if you guys just aren't ready to talk about War Sales more, then I don't know. I just felt like it was a bit negative and definitely put a bit of a downer when I was really looking forward to starting to see gameplay or just more information from stuff we don't know about. And there are a few bits here and there, I will give them that, but the majority of this Q&A isn't really anything too special. So hopefully if they do another one, when they do another one, because again, they got the #1 here, hopefully in #2, there'll be a lot more stuff. And hopefully we'll get to see gameplay soon, because it is under 2 months now until this DLC does release. So hopefully we get gameplay and also a price, because that stuff really matters. Yeah, let's dive into the first couple questions. Again, as I mentioned, if you guys are looking for new information about War Sales, there's like 1 or 2 questions here that kind of give us information that was already out there, but you might not have known about. So again, you don't have to watch this video if you're not too bothered about it, but still, we'll run through everything for you guys. If you are interested, we'll find out that stuff, but I just wanted to let you guys know. So let's start off with the first question. Was the trailer made with NVIDIA Omniverse or a third-party tool, or was it an in-house solution? Because the trailer looked amazing. They've actually got a new guy slash person working on the trailers just separately, which is really good. They actually also used to make Total War cinematic trailers as well, not officially, but that, as a hobby, and I've had many a conversation with them as well back in the day. So it's great to see them following their passion and creating something that for a game that I love so much, which was really awesome. And they did an absolutely incredible job with that. That War Sales trailer was amazing. But a lot of people were curious, was it like, because it says in engine, but did they edit stuff? Because it looks great, right? It looks really, really good. And they go on to basically say that it's in the Bannerlord engine and they didn't use any external software. Basically, the team just went in and used their pre-existing tools to create the trailer in of itself. And again, that's very common in the games industry. Basically, every trailer you see nowadays is like in engine, but it's not in game. That's a big differentiation. Like, they've gone in and they've changed stuff with the tools that they pre-existingly have. Total War do that basically with everything. And again, you'll never get to the same quality of graphics that you'll see in that, because they've taken, weeks, months to make it look as beautiful as it did. But I assume that question kind of came from someone who was basically like, how can I make my game look like that? Because yeah, it did look amazing. And once again, a big props for the people who made the trailer. Next one will the trailer music be in the DLC? And they say the music for the featured in the trailer is exclusive for that video. However, War Sales will introduce brand new epic tracks to immerse yourself in the naval adventure. That's great. Hopefully we get some, kind of sea themed, nautical themed soundtracks and stuff that will fit the Nord, more Viking-esque soundtracks would be great. They also talk about, will it get a Mac port? And they say at the moment, no, we have no plans to release a Mac version of Bannerlord or its expansion. So unfortunately, if you're on Mac, you're going to still have to use something to actually still play it. But again, hopefully they don't kind of rule it out. Maybe in the future they'll outsource that to someone else. They also say, when will we have more news? And basically there's a non-answer. This question just seems a bit pointless, right? They say, we'll share more details about War Sales, its future, in the near future. Keep an eye out there for official channels. Like, again, I feel like that's just a bit like, we're not ready yet, so just why add the question? It just seems a bit pointless. Either way, we continue on to will the PlayStation version include separate platinum trophies or just 100% achievement trophies? They say there will be no DLC specific achievements at all, not even just for PlayStation, but literally for nothing, which again, it must be something to do with it being like a separate module and not being able to trigger. I know Total War with their big Empire thing had a big struggle with combining it all together. So maybe it's something to do with it being like a separate module, but not kind of the same. I don't know. Either way, I feel like it's a massive missed opportunity not to have DLC achievements. I just don't see why not. It obviously is something technical, but yeah, because again, it's not exactly like it's hard to come up with 10 achievements or something. But yeah, big disappointment is what it is. It is actually pretty interesting and pretty good. They say, will there be an update for the PlayStation 4? Not referring to the War Sales expansion. So this is a really good question because they've also promised that 1.3 is going to come along and it's going to bring in a lot of the stuff that there was going to be in that cancelled expansion, which I actually kind of talk about a bit more as well later on down the lines. But yeah, basically us as console players, because again, the older generations of consoles aren't going to be getting War Sales, unfortunately. I guess it's a technical jump or whatever, and them consoles just can't handle it. But they are still going to be getting the previous 1.3 updates whenever that beta does come and comes out officially. You're going to probably still be waiting a little while, but the stuff like the stealth mechanics and other things along them lines will be getting in the base game, which is a big boost. You know, I'm happy that they're doing that and they're not just forgetting people on the older consoles. They will be getting a 1.3 beta before the DLC, and they say not yet determined. I probably imagine it'll come out around the same time, would be my guess. All them features being implemented alongside it would be my guess. But yeah, again, not yet determined. It just feels like they could have just not put this question in and picked up another question that maybe was a bit more interesting. But again, maybe they needed to fill this out. I don't know. Again, it's just like, no, we're not doing it. Like, we could just not have not have worried about it. And then also move on to, are we going to be getting grappling hooks from the trailer inside the base game in addition to the stealth gameplay for climbing and such? So basically the person's asking, are you going to be able to like grapple your way up a wall to sneak in a castle? That sounds absolutely amazing. I would love that. But they then go on to say we have no plans for that now. So again, keep in mind, they do say base game, so grappling hooks are going to be in the DLC, the War Sales DLC, but they not going to be implemented into the base game as of right now, which again, I feel like it's a shame. I'm definitely going to be curious when modders get their hands on it and they can see like how detached War Sales and the mechanics in War Sales, etc. are going to be. And they talk a bit more about like the parameters and like the hard blocks that modders are going to face later on down below. But yeah, very interesting because again, modders, you know, probably would want to just transport a lot of this stuff into the base game, but are they going to be allowed to is the question. We then move on to, can we get a screenshot of the new map? And they say, we'll share more about the new map soon, stay tuned. Again, like, just don't put it in. Like, we know that they're going to be sharing this stuff. I don't know, it just rubs me up. It just makes me feel a bit weird. Like, why put that in if you're not going to say it? Like, obviously you're going to be showing off the map at some point. I don't know, maybe they're just answering questions and I'm being a bit too cynical. You know, I'm just really excited to start to actually get War Sales update content and stuff, and I don't know, it's just making me feel a bit negative, you know. They also say, are we open to explore adding naval custom battles in the future? And they say we don't have any plans for it. So unfortunately, naval battles are going to be coming to custom battles, but again, I'm not sure how many people actually use custom battles anyway, so it's not really the biggest loss in the world. However, it would be cool to be able to mess around with them regardless. They also talk about fire arrows and if they'll be in the base game. They say not yet determined. Again, that could be something that comes with 1.3. I don't see why not. Like, it seems like a small change that is kind of cool. Like, imagine it's nighttime, you've got 400 Battanian Thanes all loading up their arrows, unleashing hellfire into a castle. That sounds cool as hell, and I don't see why you just don't stick it in the base game. Also, they talk about the burning death animation that was removed a long time ago, I guess maybe from the fire pots, and they basically say it's not coming back with the fire arrows because of age restriction concerns. We don't want the game to go up from what is probably like a 13 plus to like a 16 or something. Again, I don't really think that's that big of a deal nowadays, but I'm sure it does impact them. We also talk about, will the 1.3 patch have any sort of ability to tell vassals or your kingdoms which fiefs to specifically attack or defend? And they just say straight up, no. Again, I feel like this is something that players want so badly. We have been begging for any scrap like this. It just seems like a question, just don't stick it in. Like, if there's no good news, just don't say it, because like this can only be negative, right? People can only react and see this and be like, well, why is it not coming? This is the one thing everybody's asked for. So I don't know, I just feel like if you got nothing good to say, just don't say it, because this is what everybody wants. But maybe it suggests that it's coming in like a later patch or something. I don't know. Maybe the fact that they put it here means that they're planning on adding it later on down the line. Who knows? But yeah, either way, again, it just feels a bit disappointing. Move on to talking about the cancelled DLC project. So if you didn't read the previous War Sales stuff that they were talking about, they basically stated that the reason why it took 2 years to come out with War Sales and the lack of communication, etc., was because they were were working on a cinematic kind of story-driven campaign DLC that inevitably got cancelled, and then they decided to repurpose and release a lot of their mechanics for free in 1.3 and so on. And they basically just kind of reiterate the same stuff they said in that previous post of like it just wasn't up to the standards, and they decided to repurpose it. So again, not really any new information or anything else. This is just like kind of the same thing. We also find out we do get to rename our ships, which is cool, and it does say you rename your ship, so you are going to be, by the looks of it, being able to move around with fleets, or you are definitely going to be able to move around with fleets as well, which is cool. Again, that stuff is really cool. I'm excited, really excited for all the naval stuff, but we're just not really being told anything quite yet. And then we go on to, will you be able to put prisoners to oars, increasing your map naval speed instead of decreasing it? So yeah, if you have prisoners, there'll be a specific mechanic, or sorry, a specific perk you're going to be able to pick that will then make the prisoners row your boats. Without that perk, I guess the prisoners are going to slow you down in sea would make sense, which is pretty cool. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what the 3 new skill trees are actually going to provide to the game, like what the benefits they are, because again, the majority of the current skill trees are pretty boring, I would say. There's like a few separate perks here and there which are fun and exciting and cool to work towards, but a lot of them are just like, oh yeah, here's a 4% boost in here, or here's a 2% boost here, and it's just not really anything exciting. So hopefully they'll reinvent a lot of these naval skills and give us some cool stuff. Then go on to talk about sea shanties and say basically we currently have no plans to do that. Again, I just feel like it's just negative, right? It's just like people asking questions and they're like picking the ones to say no to almost, and it's just like, man, just don't put it in. It's also sad that we don't get sea shanties, because that would be so cool, right? Just having like 4 or 5 in the game, that would be super dope. And then finally, someone asked about if this stuff like the Nords etc will be coming to multiplayer, and they basically say no, our current focus is just single player, the naval DLC, and they're not in the position to discuss what's coming next, whether or not the Nords will be arriving in multiplayer, if naval stuff will be arriving in multiplayer. They basically said it's not coming anytime soon with that. And we move on finally to the modding stuff. So will you be able to use the War Sales DLC assets in the base game? And they say no, it's exact that the DLC modding guidelines will be shared closer to expansion. But basically, you know, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. If it's a paid DLC, it's probably going to be hard-coded / hard-locked, and if anybody does use that stuff to implement it, then they're going to, you know, probably get their mods taken down quite quickly, which again, I think is fair enough. Of course, I would love for it not to be the case, but, you know, at the end of the day, it is a paid DLC, so I can see where Tail Worlds are coming from, but it is a shame because, yeah, it'd be cool. It's going to definitely make it so that, oh, I guess it just comes down to, we've made a video about this before, but it's going to come down to basically how locked are you in? If you just don't have the War Sales DLC, are you going to be prevented to playing mods that do have it, or are you just not going to be able to go on the sea and utilize them mechanics? Are they going to be grayed out or whatever? I feel like it's going to be like the first one, and you're just not going to be able to play these mods if they have the War Sales DLC, which really does suck. But again, we'll have to see. Again, everything is just, we're not ready to talk about it yet. You'll see closer the time, etc., and it's just a bit annoying. And then there's also some gobbledygook right here, which I don't understand about XML files. I really hope that this is a positive thing, and yeah, the XML tool that they're giving modders is going to be really useful and helpful, etc. Not all of our mods are going to break. And then finally, they also talk about the replay editor as well, and say basically we don't have an update on it. It's not coming anytime soon. The expansion is the priority. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, I'd say it's all a bit, I don't know, a bit disappointing, this first Q&A. Again, I really appreciate them kind of having this communication with us, them taking these questions from people, because these are all people's questions. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but yeah, these are all people's questions from a thread. And yeah, I don't know, a lot of it was just like, no, not yet. We're not ready to talk about that yet. It just feels like there wasn't really any cool news, and realistically, I just wanted to know more about War Sales and what you could talk about War Sales. So it feels like maybe this could have waited 2 weeks, and then we could have got, you know, a nice Q&A with some more information or something. I don't know. Either way, they are opening this up for future. So again, if you guys have a question, again, I'll leave a link to this down below in the description. So if you guys have questions, come over to their forums and drop them, and they'll maybe answer in the next Q&A. I still wanted to cover all this information for those of you who are still really interested. I'm sure many people clicked off, but if you did make it to this part of the video, do make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. below. Let me know what kind of type of questions you would be interested in asking them. I'd be very interested as well. And maybe I'll take a few from the community in the comments and I'll post them myself on the forum and see if we can get them answered. So yeah, overall, a little bit disappointing with this Q&A, but again, it's still cool that they're having communication. I've definitely got to give them props for that considering the past 2 years. And I imagine in the next Q&A, they'll be able to share a lot more because probably that'll be, you know, a month out from launch. And I imagine we'll start seeing gameplay in a couple of weeks. We'll start getting more information about mechanics and other things because again, the DLC looks so good. I'm really excited for it. Brand new faction, the naval mechanics and naval battles seem like there's actually a lot of weight to them, so I'm only positive, like I've only got positive things to say about the DLC, minus not having much diplomacy stuff in it or any diplomacy stuff in it. Minus that, the DLC looks amazing. I'm really excited for it, but we'll just have to wait and see about everything else. So yeah, once again, if you guys enjoyed, drop a like, a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.